Well, hi, good morning. While we're working all that out, how are you today? Great. So this is the symbol of the infinite. Those of you who know me probably know by now that I do believe that we can have fun and playfulness as part of our spirituality, that the divine is playful. And so, and if you look at babies, if you look at animals, if you look at all of nature, there's a playfulness about it. It's one of the divine qualities of God. So those of you who blessedly know absolutely nothing about football may not know, but there's a big college championship game coming up on Monday, the first one ever, and it's being played by the Oregon Ducks, my favorite team, and some no-name team from somewhere back in the Midwest. That happens to be the alumnus, the College of Reverend Mary.
Ohio State University.
The Ohio State University.
And I cannot use the podium this morning. But I wanted to share with you something from my favorite newspaper, the Wall Street Journal. Big front page, college football's culture clash. There's a picture of a duck here on the left, and he's using a smartphone. And then there's a picture of Brutus Buckeye from Ohio State, and he's carrying a toolbox and a pair of pliers. And here's a little bit about what it says. College football finally has its Super Bowl on Monday night with Oregon Ducks and Ohio State Buckeyes. It's a culture clash worthy of a national frenzy, and there really is a frenzy going on if you've looked at the internet. The Oregon team is a team that Nike built in a state that never met a progressive idea it didn't like. The Ducks are about breathless offense and flash. And if you've seen the games, you know that's true. Now, Ohio State is the epitome of the old-fashioned rah-rah powerhouse and embodies the state's stolid blue-collar ability to fight through hard times. Ohio State is just coming around to the high-speed world of college football, but they're pulling it off with a third-string quarterback. And as the head coach said, and the official state motto declares, with God, all things are possible.
Who knew that football could be spiritual, right? Thank you, Mary. So we are talking this month, working with the theme of, in fact, for the whole year, the theme is, Behold, I make all things new. And we're talking about that, that's our focus this month. And today I wanted to talk about the power of intention. We just finished up a weekend-long intentions retreat Friday night, and all day yesterday we had almost 50 people in a huge circle in this room, creating powerful intentions. Was anybody, I don't know if anybody's here, they probably can't even wake up yet. A couple of people were here, yes. Great. I'm a little fried from it, and probably a couple of you are too, but it was a really wonderful, powerful weekend. And I wanted to talk about the power of intention for all of us, because as the reading said from Emma, if we could just name our good, we would start to have it come to us. But most of us are never clear on our good, and we don't name it. Or we name a good that's sort of a substitute, or what we think we should want, what somebody else thinks we should want, and we don't bother to go for that which is our passion for our good. I have another football metaphor. Actually, it's not a metaphor, it's a story. In the early days of the Super Bowl, I would love to watch the interviews of the two teams prior to the game, and I could always predict who was going to win the game based on the interviews. Because one team that was interviewed would say, "We are so happy to be here at the Super Bowl." And the other team that they would interview would say, "We are so looking forward to winning the Super Bowl." One team was happy to be there. The other team had an intention of winning the Super Bowl. Guess who won the Super Bowl almost every single time? The one who had the intention of winning the Super Bowl. So our intentions are powerful. What we set ourselves up for is powerful. Do we set ourselves an intention for what we really, truly, truly, truly want, or a step or two back from what we want because, well, who am I to be that brilliant, as Marianne Williamson asks us? So I want us to take a look today at naming our good. And there's three things we talked about yesterday with intentions, and so we can clarify, what is an intention? What exactly is it? An intention is a state of being. It's not a goal, and it's not a process. It's a state of being. What is it that I want to be? So I want to, if an intention would be, I choose to express dynamic health, radiant health, throughout this whole year, throughout my life. Okay, would be an intention. Now, is there an end to that intention? Is there a limit for how good that can be? No. So it's a state of being, it's a constant, it stays the same. Now the goals may be, okay, this year my idea of showing up in perfect health might be that I take my weight down to 175 pounds, that I'm fit, or that I run a marathon, or that I run 5 miles, or whatever goal that I might have to support that. And then I might have a process where, okay, I'm going to join a gym, or I'm going to use this particular diet process. That's a process. That's the how we're going to do it. But where we're going to focus on the intention is, what is it that really truly calls to me? What is it that makes my heart sing, that I can go to bat for, that I can keep on saying, I want to manifest this in my life? Does that make sense? You with me? Okay, some yes, some not so sure. The intention is that purpose that we are here to express. It's the reason why you took form on earth. And what we did yesterday was we started to look at that in 8 different aspects of our lives. We looked at it in recreation, we looked at it in relationships, we looked at it in finances, we looked at it in career, we looked at it in health, we looked at it in creative expression, and a couple of other ways. We started to say, what is it that I want by the end of this year, or ongoingly, to be expressing in my life, that if I come to the end of this year and that happens to be the end of my life, I can look back and say, I fulfilled what I came here to do. Okay? So what is that intention? What is that desire? What is that is driving me, that is calling me to something bigger? And one of the things we talked about with our intentions are they should scare us a little bit. Niels Bohr, one of the fathers of quantum physics, said when you're contemplating quantum physics, if you're not getting a little bit dizzy, you don't understand quantum physics. Okay? And anybody who's ever studied quantum physics is kind of like, whoa, what are we talking about? You mean the ground that I'm standing on really isn't solid? Oh, nice. If we're looking at our intentions and we don't get a little bit nervous, a little bit scared, a little bit, how am I going to do this? This feels so much bigger than I am. That we're not really tapping in to our most powerful intentions. So what is it that you know, if you would take away the fear, and if you would stop playing small, that is yours to do? And to start to name that as your good. Now you may say, I have no bloody idea how to do that. And that's the truth. But once we start to name it, the universe starts to say, okay, if you're willing to play full out, I'm willing to play full out with you, and starts to move and support that process. But as long as you're saying, nope, don't want to do that, nope, not me, I'm not looking there, not going there, the universe will say, okay. The universe always says yes, by the way. Did you know that? The universe always says yes. If you're ever stuck in a pickle and you're wondering how you got there, one of my favorite shortcuts is, okay, the universe always says yes. What did I just ask it to say yes to? And it's oftentimes an uncomfortable question, but it's also a quick way to drill down to what's going on in my unconscious mind that I may not have consciously said say yes to this, but somewhere in my consciousness I asked it to say yes to this, and I may not even have to figure out what or how I got there, but I can start to say, okay, what I really wanted to say yes to is this. Okay, so that's where you get clear on your intention. Once you have an intention, you start to set some goals to put legs under that intention. Because an intention, there's that old phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Okay? So we can have good intentions, but until we start saying, yes, I want to manifest this, yes, I want to make this real in my life, we have nothing going. So we start to set goals. We start to take that toolbox that Mary was talking about for the Buckeyes. And trust me, the Oregon Ducks also have a toolbox, and they work hard for what they do too, as do all successful people in every single field. Okay? And so we start to put goals, and a goal is a doing. A goal is a tangible, measurable result that has a timeline that you can say, okay, this is what it is, this is what it looks like, and this is when it's finished. Okay? Now the thing is that most of us start with goals. And we don't take the time to go for the intention, but the intention is the passion. The intention is the heart. One of my favorite analogies, I use it during the weekend, and I used it very first weekend I was here. I did a Harry Potter workshop. How many were at that workshop? Anybody here? A couple people? Great. In that workshop, I used the metaphor of the first year of how many have seen the Harry Potter movies, or at least the first one, or read a book? Or at least have ever heard of Harry Potter? You've never heard of Harry Potter. Okay. You work with children? We'll talk afterwards, surely. So Harry is in his first year at Hogwarts School. They've just had a month or two. They're barely into the program. And one evening at dinner, one of the professors comes running into the dining hall, the Great Hall as they call it, and yells, "Troll in the dungeon," and passes out. And everybody stands there for a minute in shock, and then panic ensues throughout the whole room. Kids are screaming and running and everywhere. And then Dumbledore, who's the senior wizard, the dean of the school, if you will, suddenly yells, "Silence!" and everything stops. How many of you have ever had a troll in your dungeon? You know what I'm talking about, okay? And our mind wants to go panic, 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 panic. And there's a quiet, still voice within that says, "Silence. Come to center. Take a breath and come to center." And then he starts guiding them in an orderly procession, an orderly fashion, back to their rooms, back to the safety of their rooms, while he and the teachers will go deal with the troll in the dungeon. And that should have ensued orderly. But then you got Harry and Ron. Harry and Ron have this thing about order. They don't follow order. They don't follow rules. And the problem was that they had hurt their third partner, Hermione Granger's, feelings, and she was in the girls' bathroom crying her eyes out during dinner. So she doesn't know about the troll. So they realize that they need to go tell Hermione about the troll to get her out of there, to keep her safe. So their intention is to keep Hermione safe. Got it? They arrive in the bathroom, and what do they find? Anybody remember? The troll. The troll has left the dungeon and heads for the girls' bathroom where Hermione is. What is their intention now? To keep Hermione safe. Same intention, but the intensity has ramped up. Now these are first year, barely after it students. I mean, Harry has just found out he's a wizard like 2 months ago. He didn't even know that. They don't have any skills, but they find the troll in there, and they know they've got to keep Hermione safe, and they know they have to deal with it. So they start doing everything from throwing the debris that the troll has destroyed the bathroom pretty much. They start throwing the debris at him, trying to get his attention, insult him a couple times. Harry jumps on top of his head and sticks his wand, a good wizard's wand, which he's later going to do battle with the Dark Lord and do all sorts of wonderful magic stuff. He uses it and sticks it up the troll's nose. Okay? What he does is he finds a way. They keep on going until they find a way to finally stop the troll. But the intention to keep Hermione safe stays the same. The difference is that now it becomes more intense. It becomes a must-do instead of a nice thing. When we start to add the energy of My intention is important and I must do it. It shifts from, wouldn't it be nice if? Oh, wouldn't it be nice if I lost a little weight and got my body healthy? Or wouldn't it be nice if I got into financial integrity? Or wouldn't it be nice if I was, more loving in my relationship or had the relationship that I wanted in my life? To, it's extremely important. I have to. It's very important. Do you see the difference in the energy? So as you contemplate an intention, I invite you to find intentions that you are so passionate about that it has to happen, and to find the reasons why it has to happen for you. Find the reasons why it has to happen. If you will do that, the intention will find its way into your life. You don't have to have any great skill in doing it. Again, Harry and Ron were not great, skillful wizards to deal with this troll. As one of their teachers who eventually shows up says, pure dumb luck, and you could have been killed. Okay? But what happens when we have a clear intention is pure dumb luck shows up for us. So Raymond Charles Barker, in The Power of Decision, says, decision is the most important function of the individual mind. No creative process can begin until a decision is made. I could not write this chapter until I arrived at the decision to do it. I am writing this on a lazy summer day when the outdoors invites me to many pleasant things. I've been sorely tempted to move from my typewriter and relax with my friends, but I have decided that this chapter shall be written, and it shall be written now. That's that must-happen energy. I have decided. So what have you decided in your life for this year? This year is going to pass. Okay? This year is going to happen in your life. Do you want to decide how it's going to happen, what the intention is, what the power is, what it is that by the time we get to this time a year from now and we look back, what your life looks like? Or do you want to just let it unfold? Oh yeah, whatever's good. My encouragement as religious scientists who know the power of our mind, who know the power of prayer, who know the power of consciousness, is that we make a choice with passion. We start to set intentions. This is what I intend to have happen this year. This is what I am going to make happen or make welcome, or I'm passionate about having happen in my life beginning this year. And write it down. There was a study done years and years ago of I think it was Harvard graduates. And they interviewed them as they were graduating, and then they interviewed them about 20 years later. And they found out that the 10% who had clear-cut goals when they graduated had outperformed all the other 90% in every measurable way of their lives. What's more, they found out that the 3% that had written goals, that had written their goals down, had outperformed everybody in terms of income, in terms of marital satisfaction, in terms of all their life goals, everything they did. So having that goal, having it written down, having that intention, and writing it down. What is it that I'm about this year? And yes, it takes time. We did this over the course of the workshop, and after about an hour of working with and wrestling with intentions, everybody was just like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. Right? It's tough work. And yet, it's powerful work. Because it starts to say to your mind, it starts to say to the universe, it starts to say to every system in your body. I love that phrase, it laps it up. It'll lap up your good. It starts to say to every system in my body, this is the direction we're going. I came here to win the Super Bowl. I came here to do whatever it is that I came here to do. I came here to create the loving relationship that I really truly wanted. I came here to live and enjoy my body as a wonderful expression of life, and to be able to express it freely through and as my body. Whatever it is. So I invite you, implore you, to write down, to decide what it is that you want and write it down. And then write down goals to start to achieve it, and write down some action steps, the processes that you will start to take. One of the things that we did yesterday with the processes of how to make that is we got together in groups, because most of us have a certain idea of how it should happen. And we have a limited idea. We did an exercise on Friday night which tapped into the creativity of everybody here. And one of the people said, you know what, I thought there was only about 3 ways to do what we were asked to do. And he watched 100 ways unfold right in front of him. And so most of us have a limited idea of how to accomplish what we accomplish. You know, in a way, you know, when Mary was reading that article about the difference between the Buckeyes and the Oregon Ducks, the Buckeyes have the traditional method of football and how to play. And there's nothing wrong with it, but the Ducks have said, what else can we do? And so they fly around, they do all sorts of different stuff. And there's been a lot of creativity in the field of football. The Seahawks do the same thing, by the way. And in a lot of other businesses, they do the same thing. In relationships, the same thing. In the field of health, the same thing. Is there creativity? There are more ways to do things than we ever thought were possible. If we just look at our culture in the last 50 to 100 years, you know, we have advanced so much farther in terms of what's available to us than in the previous 5 or 100 to 1,000 years before that. You know, think about 200 years ago how long it would have taken you to get from here to San Francisco, and how long it does now, and how many options you have for getting from here to San Francisco, including, by the way, firing up your computer and, FaceTiming or Skyping with somebody in San Francisco that you want to meet with, so that you don't even have to leave your desk, but you can be in San Francisco. You can shop in any store you want almost in the world. So there's all sorts of new ways, but are we open to the new ways? And so sometimes it's good to work with somebody else who's not in your mindset. Most of the great inventions have been made by people who were not in the field that the inventions came out of. Or they were accidents by people who were in the field. Mistakes. Okay? Once we set an intention, we find something else comes up for us, and that's what I call the counter-intention. I used the example yesterday of, so for me, if I want to create a healthier body, if I want to express health, greater health in my body, I've noticed that there's a counter-intention called, I eat for comfort. I eat for emotional satisfaction. I was going through, 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever, recovery from divorce. And for those first 3 years, a whole lot of dessert passed through my body to kind of deal with that process. Okay? And so I have to start to shift and say, how powerful is this, and what does this intention mean to me if I'm healthy? What is the gain from that? What does it mean to me? And how valuable is that to me? And make that value bigger than what I call the counter-intention, and also to develop a behavior that says, okay, I need to find other ways to satisfy comfort in my life. First of all, I'm not in the same emotional state that I was 3 years ago about my divorce. That's all kind of settled out. I'm clean with that. But I need to also break the habit of what I do after dinner, which is have a dessert. I need to break the habit of not exercising, which I used to love to do, and start to set up new habits. So we start to look at what is it that's also opposing me, what is it has been more important in my life than doing the intention I want. Okay? If what I want is financial health and integrity, maybe I've been lazy about my finances. Maybe I've not been, keeping track of them. Maybe I haven't bothered to, I don't like to deal with the IRS, so I just don't. Maybe I don't like to look at my investments, so I don't. Whatever it is for you. Oftentimes it's just plain fear. A number of people yesterday encountered the fear of, if I gave up my smallness, I don't know who I would be. Because when I'm playing small, I'm playing safe. And I know who I am in that context. And if suddenly I stepped out into my magnificence, I don't know who I would be. And I might not know how to function. And I might lose my friends. I might lose the stable life that I have now. We had one person who said, my life is really good right now. I'm not sure I want to move forward. Okay? And yet we live in an infinite universe that is infinite good. A reminder of, there's a wonderful Bible quote that says we can move from glory to greater glory. It doesn't mean that because it's good now, it has to get worse. We can move forward and have fun. And so that was the other invitation that I gave people yesterday, was to set a theme for the year. And my theme is, how am I going to experience this year? Am I going to experience it as a year of struggle, of hurt, of suffering? Or am I going to experience a year of joy, playfulness, fun, ease, grace, harmony? What's the theme you want to experience this year? Because not only do you get to set your intention, but you get to set how the intention shows up. What's the feeling around it? My encouragement is to take those latter things I talked about, not the former things that I talked about. Okay? So we start to set up a theme. What do I want to experience? How do I want to experience this year? I want to experience this year as a free, beautiful, free-flowing experience. And guess what? You get to choose. You have that power. I'm going to pull from Raymond Charles Barker one more time. By the way, this is from the book The Power of Decision. I love the opening sentence that he has in this book. The individual's ability to act unintelligently in a universe of intelligence is amazing. Isn't that a great line? So he invites us to use an affirmation. I am pure intelligence, always acting intelligently. And he tells us, you were born out of intelligence. This is capital I. You were born out of intelligence as intelligence to express intelligence. Worry, fear, disease, argument, and frustration are not your normal heritage. These are abnormal, unhealthy uses of mind and emotion, which you have wrongly assumed to be necessary to your everyday living. Your rebuttal that these negative states are normal because everyone has them does not make them so. All the sickness in the world cannot disprove health as normal. All the sorrow in the world does not prove joy to be abnormal. So we get to choose to live in alignment with the infinite presence. We get to use our power of decision. It's the greatest power we have. And so this week and this year, I'm going to invite you to do three things. Number one is choose what you want. Decide. Name your good. Name your good. If you do nothing else, name your good. If you ignore all the other talks I've ever done and all the talks I will do from now on, and take this one, please, name your good. What are you going to do? Okay. Choose it. Know why it is important to you, so that you have the emotional power to ride through the waves that you encounter. Number two, establish goals to take you there. Once you have named your good, if you really are sincere about it, set some goals. Set some goals. And number three, choose what actions you'll take starting now. Choose an action that starts you moving in that. It's the old Chinese proverb, the longest journey begins with a single step. Do something. Okay? So you name your good, you start getting clear on what you'll do to make that good happen, and then do something. Can we do that this week? Yes. A few? Some? Let's try that again. Are you willing to do that this week? Yes. Thank you. And if not, there's some wonderful practitioners over here who will help you to work through the fear of stepping into your greatest good, because you deserve it. You didn't show up here to play small. I'm going to close that wonderful quote from Marianne Williamson that many of us are familiar with, that I dropped into this book because I wanted people to remember it. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. I invite you to become a liberator and liberated. So let's move into prayer. Knowing that there is one infinite presence, one beautiful power, one infinite good, that is all that there is. An infinite presence of joy, of love, of abundance, of health, of creativity, of wisdom. And that is all there is. That is the normal. That is how this universe was built to be. And that we are one of that. Always have been, always will be. Even if we forget, we are still one of it. No matter what has happened before, we are still one of it. There is nothing we have ever done or could ever do that could keep us separate from that good. And so I speak my word that each of us here truly, truly, truly opens the magnificence of who we are and starts to express that magnificence in greater and greater ways than we ever have before. That we open up to the beauty of our being, to the power of who we are, to the greatness and glory. That this is not somebody else. This is the person sitting in your chair, the person occupying your body. That each of us is this magnificence, is this spirit right here, right now. And so simply by declaring it, simply by choosing to be that expression, simply by knowing this highest and greatest good, we allow it to begin to flow in our lives in greater and greater ways than we ever have before. And so we choose and we say yes to Spirit. We say yes to the power and the glory of who we truly are. And we let it rip. We let it flow. And as Emma said, every little tongue within us laps up our good. Every cell, every atom, every subatomic particle resonates and virtually vibrates with the joy of beingness that we truly are. And that this is our true nature. And so we say yes to that nature more clearly, more powerfully than ever before. And so in gratitude and gratefulness for the good, the results from that, from the good, from the empowerment in each person's life that comes out of that, I release this word spoken into a law that moves it into form and experience in the most beautiful, most powerful way possible, knowing that it is done in the mind of God, it is done in my mind, it is done in each of our minds. And we simply say yes, and together we say, and so it is. Thank you.
To love, serve.